Hello everyone, in this video I will be showing you Thor versus Bomber comparison, Thor versus Albatross. Okay, so first we're seeing the Confederation Thor at rank 12 max, 4040 HP and Type 3 37 armor, 330 speed, 13 view, 450 cost and 52 production times 7 CP. And if you see the damage, 1300 damage and almost 3200 damage against armor 2 and 3. Firing range is 5, fire rate of fire is 9, firing accuracy 94.9, which is very good, and they have high explosive radius 2.2. Now as for the Albatross, you see the HP that Albatross has, it has more than 700 extra HP compared to Thor, and if you see the same amount 39 type 3 armor, and if you compare this, measure the speed, it has 60 less speed compared to a Thor, and same view 13 view, and production time is slightly higher than the Thor. Now if you see the damage against armor 1, it's less than the damage done by Thor's. Thor did 1360 damage, and damage against armor 2 and 3 are also significantly less compared to Thor, and the firing range is 3 only, where the firing range of the Thor was 5. Rate of fire is 12, which is higher than the rate of fire of the Thor. So Thor focus on a more on centralized points, where the damage of the Albatross can be spread in the more wider region. And the firing accuracy is 96.7, which is great. I think it's greater than the Thor. And the explosive radius 2.02, where the explosive radius for Thor was 2.22. So slightly less explosive radius. Alright, okay, so here you see 4 Thors and the enemy has 4 Albatross, and in between we have HQ level 5 buildings. Now I would like to mention you that all the construction yard, power plant supply centers, the resistance building has 10 less armor, but in case of headquarters, both factions possess the same amount of armor. So we're going to test against the same amount type 3 armor. What does the bomber's effect? That's why we had brought to HQ level 5, and now we're going to test it out on it. Okay, so first trying with one Thor, and he had bombed. You see, this is the damage one Albatross can deal with 1 HQ, and this is the damage one Thor can deal with 1 HQ level 5. Looks almost similar, but if you see properly, you can find that the Thor did a slightly higher amount of damage, although it is very difficult to recognize. Okay, now we will send 2 bombers and he will send 2 Albatross. Okay, let's go. Now his Albatross also moved, as well as my Thors. Now both sides will show what they can do. Now check the damage difference. This is the damage done on the Confederation HQ, whereas this is done on the Resistance HQ, and if you see properly, I can even see that the Confederation side took more damage from the Albatross. A little bit more from the Thors, probably because my bombing site wasn't proper. Anyway, we will try that again. Okay, so here I'm going to do it again, and this time you see I did place the bombing in a more proper way. Now we will see, because we know that Thor has more firepower than the Albatross has. Okay, so this is the damage that Thor dealt. This is the damage that Albatross dealt. So it's almost identical. If you see, I cannot actually measure the actual difference between their HP damage they did to the HQ level 5. Okay, let's move on. Okay, now time for 3 bombers. Properly attack has been placed. Here the Thor comes, and here the Albatross. First, the Thor did the damage. Now the Albatross, it did more than slightly less than half damage, where the damage done by Thor was even less. That's quite surprising because that's totally unexpected. Because if I tell you the building durability, the both sides has the same amount of effects, and the air attack also 6% extra for both faction, plus 6%, and still Albatross dealing more damage to a level 3 armor of buildings. Okay, his building is repairing, but it will be repaired before my bombing happens on it. Again, 3 bombers bombing. We will see the result again. Okay, now this time you see the damage was of the Albatross was slightly less, probably because the positioning also matters. And if I check on the HQ, resistance HQ, if you see the damage is also slightly less than the 50%. However, if you compare it, I can still see that the damage done by Albatross still seems slightly higher. Okay, now we are going to attack using 4 Thors and 4 Albatross. We're not going to extend the number of bombers anymore, just 4. This will be the highest number. Okay, let's go. I think the positioning of my bombers was good. This way they can maximize their damage effects. Now you can see clearly the damage that 4 bombers had done. The damage that is done by Albatross is definitely greater than the damage Thors had done on this HQ. Because, you know, my Confederation HQ is also with full HP and armor, and it is level 5, just the same as this HQ. Still, Albatross dealing more damage. That's also very surprising. I'm not sure if it is for only low ranks, but that's quite a surprising result. Okay, so now we are going to bomb on the enemy tanks. But we know that the Confederation tanks are much stronger in HP and armor, and the resistance tanks have lower HP and armor. But still, we are going to see with more powerful, more damage dealing Thors will attack the resistance tanks, and the Albatross will attack the Confederation tanks. Okay. So all the 4 Albatross did not hit yet. So you see, the damage of the bombers are good, although Thor have more firepower. The Confederation got only 1 Zeus surviving, that was at the corner, and it barely survived, whereas the all resistance tanks got destroyed because the resistance tanks had even lower HP and armor. Okay, so we are going to bomb again on 9 units, and this time these tanks will have their special effects activated, fog and shield, and we know that fog does not provide you any additional defenses, however the shield provides. Now we will see what is the difference when their special effects are activated. So my positioning was mistaken because of the fog, so 1 Jaguar survived. However, if you see here, a lot more tanks survived because of the extra armor provided by this shield, and that's for rank 12. So don't take this for universal for all ranks. This is for rank 12 max upgrades. Okay, our next bombing will be conducted on infantries, and there are a mixture of all types of enemy infantries. You know the Confederation infantries have almost the same armor. The assault just have a little bit more armor, and the sniper has less armor where the fire assault has more armor. Okay, so we saw that infantries cannot survive bombings. Only some infantry survived because the four bombers could not cover that much big range. That is why these infantry survived. However, because of the explosive radius, these infantries also took massive amount of damage. Okay, now we have placed our bombers in close proximity, and we're going to check out the difference in their speed. Okay, we're going to tap both sides at once. Go. Okay, so both sides did move, and you see the Thors are definitely faster, and with such a small distance they're coming back to their airfields, and we will see how faster the Thors come back into their airfield. So if you see, the difference in their speed is quite much. The Thors was able to come back into position a lot earlier and in this small map. So if you consider that factor in a large map, the Thors have a lot advantage in terms of movement speed. Alright, so now we will test out how much uh, how much is the survivability of bombers. So first, I have sent one Thors against two porcupines, and we will see how much damage two porcupines can deal against one Thor. If you see the amount of damage, not that great by two porcupines. Okay, this time we will see one Albatross versus, okay, this one Albatross versus two Typhoons. And the both Typhoons are at seize mode. Let's check out how much damage these Typhoons can deal against. Okay, now this third hit was done by both Typhoons because of their extra firing radius, and you see it lost almost half of its HP. So two Typhoons did more damage to Albatross, although Albatross had more HP, but because it has less speed, so the Typhoons were able to attack, and the Typhoons had more firing range. So combining all factors, Typhoons were able to fire them more times than the Porcupines could, and the net amount of damage on the Albatross were higher. Alright, so now time to test one bomber versus three porcupines. You see there are three porcupines we're going to bomb at this place. Okay, let's go. This one Albatross now will encounter three porcupines. Second hit, and it also took the third hit, but in the third hit the distant porcupines did not participate, and it lost almost 60% of its HP. Okay, now it's time for one Albatross versus three Typhoons. One hit, second hit. Will there be a third hit? Yes, there is a third hit, and it lost a bit more HP. You see that Thor lost 60% HP, but it lost almost like 70% of its HP. Okay, one Thor again versus these four Typhoons. Here the Thor's coming. First hit, second hit, and the third hit. So you think because of the speed, I think the Thors were able to dodge some attacks. That's why they got some more HP left. It this time lost 70% HP against 4 porcupines. Now, speaking about Albatross, one Albatross is now going to face against 4 typhoons. Let's go. Here one Albatross is coming. Second hit. Third hit. And the Albatross lost more HP and lost almost like 85% HP, where the Thor lost 70% HP. So the net damage done to Albatross is higher. Now one Thor versus 5 porcupines. One hit, second hit, and the third hit. So one Thor even survived 5 porcupines and with just a 10% HP left. And as for the Albatross versus 5 typhoons, we will see the result. First hit from the typhoons, second hit, and the third hits. And the 5 typhoons managed to defeat 1 Albatross, but 5 porcupines only destroyed 90% HP of a Thor. Alright, so 1 Thor versus 6 porcupines now. First hit, second hit, and the third hit. So after all, a Thor had to die against 6 porcupines. So we checked out their survivability against anti-air tanks, and now we are going to test their survivability against anti-air tower, because anti-air tower are a bit stronger, a little bit stronger compared to the anti-air vehicles. So first hit, second hit, and both the SAM launchers went for a third hit. So you see 2 anti-air towers destroyed almost 75% HP of 1 Thor. Okay, now we will see, can 1 Albatross survive against the SAM launchers of 2 air defense buildings, because air defense buildings are more stronger. As I told you, Confederation buildings are more stronger than the resistance buildings, and this time these was able to survive with almost a similar amount of HP. You see 75% HP loss for Albatross because it has more HP but less speed. Okay, next is 1 Thor versus 3 anti-air tower of resistance. Now 3 anti-air tower is a lot. I don't think they can survive 3 anti-air tower. Yes, and they can't. 3 anti-air tower destroyed 1 Thor. Alright, so now we will see 1 Albatross versus 3 air defense. Here it goes. First hit, second hit, and third hit. Both dies against 3 anti-air buildings. So that's all I had to show you for this video.